Hey everybody, it's Andrew Brown, and we are here on the training and certification page on the AWS website. And what I want to do here is I want to pull up the exam guide so that we can make sure that we know exactly what it is that we're getting ourselves into. We did cover this in summary in the previous video, but I think it's always useful for you to know exactly where these things are. AWS is always changing their marketing pages, and I've already noticed a few changes here, so just understand that's the nature of cloud. Notice here that it's talking about the beta exam certification. So even earlier, we talked about the data engineer, or we at least showed it on our journey map, and it's not even 100% out beta. So you can see we're kind of prepping for the future here. I also want to point out that they have this like certifications path thing, and I don't really like it because I don't think it's very accurate. So the first thing they show is solutions architect, and they don't even say you need to get the other two associate certifications, which you absolutely should do before you go for your solutions architect professional. The data analytics is no longer a certification that AWS is producing, so this is an out-of-date document. So I just want you to understand that these are marketing pages. They're here to maximize the amount of certifications you need to obtain. My goal is not to make you take every certification. My goal is to make sure that you are prepared to do the job. And I just want to help you avoid going down the certification route and getting too many certifications that aren't going to benefit you. So just take these with a grain of salt when you're reading them, okay? So anyway, what I want to do is drop this down and go to Cloud Practitioner. And here on the Cloud Practitioner page, if we scroll on down, we got Prepare for the Exam. And here we'll click the exam guide, and it'll open up a PDF, and it'll give us all the information we need to know. This is what AWS has been doing for a long time, is making these exam guide PDFs, which I really like. But anyway, the first thing we should do is confirm the course code. So this one says CLF-C02, so we know we are on the right track. And then down below here it says, this exam validates the candidate's ability to complete the following tasks. I want to highlight some keywords: explain, understand, describe, and identify. So understand that this certification is not checking whether you know how to do cloud. It's more if you understand cloud. And the majority of AWS certifications, in fact, all of them, are multiple choice and multiple answers. So they can't really check if you were able to do something in cloud. So just understand the limits of certifications, at least AWS certifications, based on their testing mechanisms. So when it says target candidate, it's saying where you should be in order to pass this exam. And so they're suggesting that if you had 6 months of exposure to AWS with cloud design, implementation, operation, then you should be able to pass it. It's just worded strangely because it makes it sound like you should have this experience before you even start studying, which is not true. They just mean like if you want to pass it, you don't need 6 months to pass this exam. That's crazy. You just need what we recommended, which was the amount of hours. We said the average hours is 24 hours. So I'm not sure why they put 6 months. I guess it's just for those who are really having a hard time with cloud, they give you a lot of scope or room there. But you can see they're pointing out from non-IT backgrounds, recommended AWS knowledge, cloud concepts, security, core services, economics, AWS. That's just a repeating of the domains. Notice it says job tasks that are out of scope is coding, cloud architecture design, load performance and testing. I'm highlighting these three because I just want to point out that in associate level, professional and specialty, they actually do ask questions around troubleshooting implementation. And I suppose they do architectural design, but they never, ever, no certification in AWS is going to test your coding skills, architectural diagram skills, and they're not really good about load and performance testing. They have like use case scenarios, but just understand, again, the limits of these certifications. Coming down below to the response types, we've got our multiple choice, our multiple response. So that's pretty clear there. There is 50 scored questions. There's 15 unscored questions, so that is very clear. The point system is based out of 1,000 to 1,000 points. The lowest you can get is 100 points. I don't know how that works. Why can't you get 0 points? I don't know. The passing score is 700. So that's what we need to score there. Then down below here, it's just talking about the course outline, and it actually has a comparison of the old CLF-C01. So we can take a look there and see what actually has changed. So down below here, we have our cloud concepts, our security compliance, our cloud technology services, our billing, pricing, support. And then it comes in and starts describing all this stuff. Now, I need to make it very clear how AWS makes their exams. They give you a huge list of things you need to learn, but if you learn each one of these things, you can end up overstudying, or you'll find that the exam guide outline is not one-to-one. I'll give you an example. We'll look at something else. I'm going to go to HashiCorp here for a second. HashiCorp Terraform certification as an example of how different AWS certifications are. So for HashiCorp, this is their exam guide, they'll give you each of these items. And you can be 100% sure that every single thing, every one of these things will show up on the exam, one-to-one. So it's very easy to know exactly what you need to study for. If you know all these things, you will pass. In AWS, they list all these things, but they won't all show up. They're pulling from a very large pool. So to kind of narrow down what you need to study, you need to have a good sense of overall everything, and you're just going to get some things wrong. But anyway, coming back here, the first cloud concepts, they're talking about the benefits of cloud. So we have a section on benefits of cloud. And so they talk about the value proposition. So there's like 6 or 9 of them, I forget. We have multiple slides on that. And so we're talking about economics of scale, benefits of global infrastructure, advantages of high availability, elasticity, and agility. I think we call these cloud architecture terminologies because they're not really benefits. I mean, they are benefits of cloud, but I like to group them a little bit differently. Then we have identified design principles for AWS Cloud. So we have the well-architected framework. This was, for the most part, never in the CLF-C01 for 90% of its history, and then they decided, maybe like last year or something, to add it in. Before, it even wasn't even the Solution Architect Associate, but now it's even at this level, and that's totally fine. You only need to know it at a very high level, so it's not too difficult to learn, but it's a white paper. It's a PDF that just describes how AWS thinks that you should design your architecture. Then we have understand the benefits of strategies and migration to the cloud. So we have cloud adoption strategies, cloud adoption framework. So this was not in the last exam, but luckily I included it because I thought it was something that was very important. And so I already have it in the certification course, even from the last one. They actually do ask quite a few questions around the cloud adoption framework. But when you look at, and again, this one's like a white paper, just like this one above here. And we'll talk about what white papers are. If you've never heard that term, it'll make sense in the course. But the cloud adoption framework, there's not a lot to it, but on the exam, they'll ask you a lot of questions around it. So you just have to have good common sense about choosing those answers, if that makes sense. Identifying appropriate migration strategies. Sure, I guess so. I never got any snowball questions. They say snowball here. We'll go down below here. Understand concepts of cloud economics. So cost savings of moving to cloud, aspects of cloud economics, fixed costs compared with variable costs. They're talking about OPEX and CapEx. Understanding the associated on-premise environments. Understand the difference between licensing strategies. And AWS never, ever, really ever mentioned bring your own licenses ever in their certification courses. And I never got this on the exam. And other people I sat for the new exam never encountered this. Still good to know, but I'm just saying that I don't know why it's listed in here because it's definitely not on the exam, but it is a good thing to know at the basic level. Understand the concept of right sizing. And maybe I'll go back and make a slide on that because I don't think I actually make a deliberate slide on that. But I think what they mean there is understanding like how horizontal scaling and stuff like that works. But again, no questions on the exam for right sizing, at least not from its technical definition like that. Identify benefits of automation. I think there might have been one question of saying like, hey, which one lets you automate stuff? And you just chose CloudFormation, but they really don't talk they don't ask a lot of questions on the exam about IAC, infrastructure as a code. Identifying managed AWS services. This is something they do a lot in exams, like describe a service, you pick it. We have security and compliance. So we have the AWS shared responsibility model. You absolutely need to know that. That for sure always appears on the exam. Customers' responsibility. They'll do this a lot. They'll say like, they'll give you a scenario of like a typical workload or resource, and then you have to determine if it's the customer's responsibility or AWS's responsibility. Describing the responsibility of the customer and AWS share. So again, this is just all the shared responsibility model still here. Describing how the AWS responsibilities and customer responsibilities can shift depending on the service used. So yeah, this is basically the shared responsibility model. Understand the AWS cloud security governance compliance. So AWS compliance, governance concepts. Benefits of cloud security, they don't really talk about that. They don't really directly ask that in the exam, but yes, we do cover that. Where to capture and locate logs that are associated with cloud security. They absolutely do not ask that on the exam. I'm not sure why that's here. Identify where to find AWS compliance information. That will absolutely be on the exam. Understanding compliance needs among geographic locations and industries. Sure. I mean, they're talking about, we have a slide in this in the global infrastructure, but it's like data sovereignty and like GovCloud and things like that. Describing how customers secure resources for AWS. So just generally knowing the security services. Yep, that absolutely is on the exam. Identifying different encryption options. I never got this on my exam. I never heard of anyone else getting this, but if they are going to talk about this, they're probably going to talk about it around S3. Recognizing services that aid in governance and compliance. Absolutely for sure that you will get questions around things like FIPS or HIPAA or like common compliance certifications, not specific to AWS, but just in general. Here they're just talking about specific security services. This is kind of a repeat of what they're talking about up here. But they're just saying there's identity service, governance service. It's all the same thing here. Recognizing compliance requirements that vary among AWS services, sure. Identify AWS management capabilities. So they're talking about IAM, the AWS root account. We got a separate slide on that. Principle of least privilege, absolutely they will ask that there. A single sign-on, also known as AWS IAM Identity Center. I don't know anyone who's gotten this as a question on their exam, but we got a slide for it. Understanding access keys, yep, we cover that. Password policies, credential storage, secrets manager, systems manager, just a bunch of stuff. Identify components and resources of security, describing AWS security features. So ACLs, AWS WAF, security groups, they really don't ask these on the exam. So I'm just trying to make a point that they're asking for all this stuff and they don't even add, it doesn't even show up in the exam. So, and you know, we can just keep going and going through this and I could keep telling you what is and isn't. But if you go down below, it gets even crazier because they go, any of this stuff could show up in the exam. It's just like a big list. It's crazy. So, you know, I know that seems stressful, but, you know, just follow me in this course, and you will absolutely pass if you go through my content. You'll have no issue there, and we'll avoid all the stuff that doesn't show up, and don't stress out about this exam guide. Now, let's go take a look here and see where the rebalance has changed. So notice here that this went from 26% to 24%. They never used to do this, so I really appreciate this is now in the exam guide. But we got 25 to 30%, 33 to 34%, 16 to 12%. Why they would reduce this one, I don't know. But it is a shuffle, whatever. They, of course, increased the technology section more and did some basic rewording. Support should have always been in there, so it was always under that section, but it's nice that they labeled it as such. So notice here it says no content was deleted from the exam. And this was the largest struggle for me for the certification because I already made all the content for the last one. My old one is not expired, and I was struggling because I already had this as well. This is the only thing that they added that was new to the certification, and then they just reworked these numbers here. And so, you know, I did add more. I added more labs. I added more other stuff there. But I'm just gonna say, like, I don't know why they did an update from CO1 to CO2 because barely anything changed. Now, I shouldn't say that. The exam questions did change. I noticed that the exam questions, the quality of them kind of have dropped. I'm wondering if they're using generative AI to generate out questions or something. But there's something. The quality of questions are definitely different, and I would say that they're more. They're not worded as clearly as they used to be, for whatever reason. But anyway, you'll still be okay. It's totally fine. Recategorization of CLF-C02, and so they just did a shuffle of these points, And again, I really don't think that the new one is better. How useful is this exam guide? I should probably give them survey feedback. But anyway, just give you an idea how much stuff there is in here. Do not stress out. Just stick with the course. You'll absolutely pass. And hopefully that gives you some better confidence there. But we'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.